welcome to the Cultivating Calmness Podcast. My name is Kaela Vance, and today I really want to talk to you about who your inspirations are. Who are those people in your life that you look up to, who have inspired you to be the person you are, to do the things that you do. Maybe you have just one person, maybe you have a whole slew of people that you look up to for various reasons. And I just want to talk about who just a couple of mine are. And for me, those inspiring people are my mom and Princess Diana. Well, if you don't know, this week, actually the end of this week, August 31st, will mark the anniversary of Princess Diana's death in 1997, August 31st, 1997. So we are, 3 years away from 30 years since her death. And it also, this week, marks just about a week since the anniversary of my mom's death, which was 29 years ago, on the 22nd of August. And so maybe it doesn't seem to you why those two would connect to me. I have always connected my mom and Princess Diana ever since I learned who Princess Diana was. And to be honest, I couldn't tell you when I learned who she was. I don't know if I was, if it was before my mom died. I don't know if it was after. I don't know if it was before she died or after Princess Diana died. But at some point, I learned who she was. I remember watching things about her death on TV, but again, I don't know if I actually watched that on TV or if I saw replays on that of that on TV. I can't quite remember. I want to say that I watched it on TV and I knew who she was before she died because I distinctly remember a time for me in fifth grade where we had to pick, an inspirational person or somebody. We had to dress up as them at school. And I remember picking Princess Diana, and I had this dress picked out that was a dress that was, I had it as like a dress-up dress. So it was probably my mom's dress or a family member's dress from some kind of event. I don't actually know what it was from. I wish I still had that dress. So it was too big for me, but it was, princessy. It was probably from a wedding or something like that. And I chickened out and I ended up wearing jeans and like a t-shirt or something. And I was like, she's a princess that dresses like normal people. So I think I got away with that for the dress up portion of that. But that was fifth grade. I would have been about 10 years old. So that would have been shortly after she died. So I'm guessing I probably knew who she was before then. But that brings me to, why, they connect and why that kind of resonates with me. I feel like there are a lot of similarities between my mom and Princess Diana, and their lives in a way. They're very different people, came from very different, had very different upbringings and status and all of that. But to me, I always thought my mom looked like Princess Diana at various points in her life. And there was a point in time where I could style my hair or do something with my hair to look like Princess Diana. And I would have to pull out some of those photos. I did not pull them out for today, but they do exist. And so whenever I thought of Princess Diana, I thought of my mom and vice versa. So to me, I've always really loved Princess Diana, what she stood for, what she did, and what she had to go through. And my mom died at a young age. She died at 35 from cancer after a somewhat short battle with cancer. She found out she had cancer, and within a year, she died. And she fought we could say a long, hard battle, although it was a very short battle. And she went downhill very quickly. Princess Diana, however, she had a marriage that went downhill, and it was in the public eye, and she had a tragic accident and died. unexpectedly. And, a whole nation mourned her. All of our friends and family and my mom, from what I know, seemed to be a very popular person among her peers and friends, and anybody she met, thought she was a wonderful person. And for that, she was an inspiration. She was always somebody that I looked up to, that I wanted to make proud of me in everything that I did, still do. And that is why she has been an inspiration for me. And there's still a lot that I don't know about her and never will know about her, which can make her an inspirational person. And so it's talking to family members and talking to people who did know her really well to learn about the person that she was. And that's kind of how things were for me, with Princess Diana. Never met her. Would have been nice to have met her. And you learn about her through the stories that people tell about her. So being somebody, that really loves Princess Diana, I have books about her, including this big one, if you're watching. It's a very thick book all about Princess Diana. I don't know how old I was when I got this book, but it is very big and it details her life from pretty much birth to death. And I have other books upstairs, again, just specifically for Princess Diana. Any magazine, okay, not any magazine. I have several magazines of Princess Diana that when I've seen them on the shelves, I bought them or somebody has bought them for me. Like Time magazine or People magazine, when they've done magazine, stories on her, I have them. I know there are definitely people out there who probably have way more memorabilia and collections than I do, but these books are special. They are in the bookcase. They were put away so that they didn't get damaged. I like to pull them out and look at the pictures, and there's lots of stories in here from people who knew her, because this was compiled after she died. But what made her an inspiration to me? She married young. She married somebody that she thought she loved. And, I've read, like I said, numerous books about her, written about her, people who were her good friends, and just what she had to go through being as famous as she was, and how quickly she became as famous as she ended up becoming, because she married the Prince then of England, who's now the King of England, and the lack of support that she got from, or what appeared to be a lack of support that she got from the royal family and from, potentially like her family, but then the support she got from maybe people that you wouldn't expect, and how she used her fame to give a voice to somewhat like some of the voiceless, to many charities, and to many different types of programs and illnesses and things that needed her support or needed a voice that many people didn't want to touch, physically, literally didn't want to touch. The biggest examples of those are AIDS, HIV and AIDS patients and leprosy patients who she would go to visit in hospitals, and the homeless, and, wouldn't just shy away. It wasn't just a photo op. It was her getting down on the floor, touching them, helping to feed them, holding them, showing the world that these people, aren't contagious, and you don't have to not touch them because of what they're going through. Made them more human, made people, gave those causes a voice and more, I guess, the ability to get more funding. And so when she was alive, I think she had upwards of 100 different charities that she was either a member of or a board member or, you know, something like that because of her status. And by the time she died or got divorced, then that cut down drastically to a handful that she primarily supported. But the list includes many hospitals, many different types of hospitals that, you know, treated all different kinds of patients. But like I said, HIV and AIDS, leprosy, cancer, brain injury, drug addicts, homelessness, landmines, those are all causes that she supported, promoted, put her face to, and was seen supporting. You know, she met many famous people. Now, of course, she was also famous, but some of the notable ones, and I'm definitely not gonna get all of them, but, you know, she met presidents. She met, you know, Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa, Elton John, you know, like I said, many famous like actors and singers and things like that, but many political figures, religious leaders who were, you know, important, that had a voice, and she made a point to make sure that she spoke to them, and they also spoke about her. This book here, the forward was written by Nelson Mandela. So she had an effect on many people, not just because she was famous, but because of her personality, because of her attitude, because of her kindness and her grace. And that's why people call her the people's princess, the Queen of Hearts, because she, you know, had a heart for everybody, and she showed it, and people loved her. You know, you don't need to go very far in this book. I think it was in the beginning, actually, to see the care and the love that people had for her. And that was in her death. And the picture here I'm showing, if you're watching, is the photo in front of one of the palaces, and I don't actually know which palace this one was, but all of the palaces were covered in, when she died, covered in flowers and different emblems of support that people left from all over the country and countries surrounding, came from far away to leave flowers and to pay their respects to Princess Diana. So, you know, and she was a very beautiful woman, and listening to her speak, her, you know, voice, she was eloquent and kind and, you know, soft-spoken. She got involved in her children's lives, which wasn't very, especially common. It seems, you know, I'm not part of that world, but from everything I've read, you know, she kind of stepped out of the box. She didn't follow the rules. She was a rule breaker, especially when it came to like royal rules and royal policies. There's pictures of her like running a race for one of her sons, like schools, and, you know, that was, you know, considered a no-no. You know, taking them to school when, you know, when they went to school locally. You know, she got involved in that way, and, you know, from her writings and interviews, you know, she had, you know, wished to be more involved in their life, but because of, you know, who they were and you know, their name and just the expectations, that was not really something that was able to happen. But you see some of those qualities passed down just from like an onlooker. Again, I'm not part of that world, so I don't actually know what's going on behind closed doors, but what we get to see, what the world shows us, you know, it seems that William and his wife Kate maybe also do a little bit of that with their kids, being more hands-on and more involved. And you know, Diana started that, and that was, you know, an area where she excelled. She struggled with mental health, bulimia, suicide, depression. And, you know, those were things that she had to deal with because of her fame, because of the stress and trauma and expectations put on her. And she had to handle it, and she had to find that help. And, you know, she did eventually get that help. And, you know, whether she still struggled with some of those things, it appears that, you know, that was off and on for a lot of her adult life and maybe younger. but she was able to give a voice to those things and acknowledge that these things happen, and that you aren't alone. You, me, people out in the world, that these things happen to everybody, and you do have to deal with them. You do have to manage them and seek help because they are treatable. And I have admired all of those things about her, and why I think she's an inspiration. And, my mom is very similar in that, I felt like she was a very beautiful woman. She had many talents. She studied abroad in college, and she was in, a sorority, and appeared to be, well liked by the members in her sorority and her peers. And I have journals and I have scrapbooks and things to show all the things that she was involved in and the things that she did, and all the people that wrote her letters and notes, and people that attended her funeral. And today, if she had died today, she would probably be a lot of social media stories and things about her, because she seemed to be that kind of person. And she's somebody that I wish, was here today, that I could meet and I could get to know, and I could get to know what kind of person she was, and learn from her in that way. Instead, the way I get to learn from her is the way I've learned about Princess Diana, is after the fact, and what people have to say about her and the legacy that she left behind, in the short life that she lived, and how, what kind of legacy I want to leave behind, knowing that these two women, led very short lives, but accomplished many things in their short lives. And, what does that mean for you, for the people that inspire you? What have the people you look up to, what have they done? And it doesn't have to be somebody famous. It can be, your mom, your grandpa, your best friend, your sibling, Joe down the street. It can be somebody famous who has done something or many somethings that are inspiring to you. But how do you use those inspirations? What is it that's driving you to do good, or to do what it is that you're doing? And I would say that, my mom and Princess Diana had pushed through difficult times, and were able to find the path that worked for them. They found, love, they had children, and things ended tragically for both of them, and the people around them miss them, and use their life as a way to, build on it and carry that on with their children, as I do with mine, and my siblings with theirs. So it is something to think about. It's that time of year for me. August is a month where I've had numerous family members die in the month of August. It is not always a, great a month. There are several birthdays to celebrate in August in my family, and my daughter is one of them. She was born 22 years to the day that my mom died. So she was born on August 22nd, 22 years after my mom died on August 22nd. And so that's always been a very special thing to me. When I found out my daughter was going to be born in August, she was due in August. She was actually due before the 22nd, and I prayed and I hoped that she would just be born on the 22nd. I said, if you're going to be born this month, I'd rather you just be born on the 22nd, to, make this day worth it and not, such a sad day. So it happened, and I'm grateful for that. And, that's why she also carries both my mom's name, Princess Diana's name, and my mother-in-law's name, because she is also a inspirational person to me, and has affected many people in her life. And many people call my mother-in-law mom, including me. Before she was my mother-in-law, before there was anything there with her son, she was somebody that I called mom and many other people did, and we looked up to, and she taught many people in school. She was a teacher, she's still alive. She taught English and theater and inspired many people to go on to, carry on those lessons that she learned and to go into theater, to go into English because of the lessons that, she taught and the way that she taught and just how she is as a person, very caring and loving and knowledgeable. And I am grateful that she is my mother-in-law. I'm grateful that my kids get her as a grandma and that my husband has her as a mom, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Many inspirational people in my life. I started out with 2, and I added a 3rd while we were speaking. Lots of things I could continue to say about them, but I just want you to think about that. If you don't have somebody, think back on your life, or think back about the people you have met or now. What inspires you about them? What is it that they do that you hope to get something out of or learn from, and how can you use that to shape your life? So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you can join me next week for our next Cultivating Calmness podcast.